Hi, and welcome to Check Your Thread, a podcast about sewing more sustainably. My name's Zoe, and I'm obsessed with sewing. I've been blogging about it for over 13 years and am the creator and host of the popular handmade wardrobe challenge, Me Made May. But like many people, I've become increasingly concerned about the climate crisis and the way my lifestyle contributes to it. So in this podcast, I'll be nerding out about making clothes whilst exploring how to minimise the negative impact that it may have. I really hope you'll join me on this journey. Hello, lovely listeners. How are you doing today? I'm poorly again with something flu-y, which is why my voice sounds weird today. No idea what's up. If my lateral flow tests are to be believed, it's not COVID. Anyway, hopefully I'll be back to full capacity soon. So, regular listeners may have noticed that this episode has come out a bit earlier than expected. Normally, episodes drop on a Monday/Tuesday, but this is dropping on a Thursday/Friday. That's because I wanted this one to be live to coincide with the launch of this year's Me Made May challenge. That always gets launched on the 1st of April to give participants enough time to think about and make their pledges, but more on that shortly. So how have your making endeavours been going? Very well, I hope. I finished up the two-piece swimming cosy for my daughter that I mentioned in last week's episode's intro. It comprises of a top and cycling shorts style bottoms using patterns from an edition of Otobra magazine. The top looks great and fits really well, but I'm not convinced by the bottoms. They're not sitting quite right. So I made a pair of kind of regular pant style bikini bottoms as well because I had some extra fabric. So now at least she has some options. For those pant style bottoms, I used a free sewing pattern, so I'll review that in a future Free Pattern Friday blog post on my Sozo blog. Next up for me is new swimwear for my little boy and for myself. For myself, I've printed out and stuck together the Vanatza two-piece swimming cosy by Friday Pattern Company and the Swim Shorties pattern by Waves and Wild for my little boy. I'm going to make both of those from some swimwear fabric that I've had in my stash for years that I'm not too precious about. And hopefully they'll become wearable toiles before I make the proper versions. So have you had any sustainability wins this week? This week I emailed my MP, which is not something I am accustomed to doing, I must admit. I was asking him to support the local electricity bill. If you live in the UK, have you heard about this bill? It's incredibly important because, if made into law, it would make it possible for local energy generators to become providers by removing the current prohibitively high setup and running costs. So basically, this would mean far more renewable energy generation, more local jobs, and cheaper fuel bills. And it would mean that the big six utilities companies wouldn't be crimming off so much profit for their shareholders at a time when so many families are having to make the choice between food or heat. So I'd like to encourage you to email your MP also. This was probably only the second time I've ever even emailed an MP. And let me tell you, it honestly took me less than 15 minutes, including the bit where I found out who my MP actually is and what his email address is. So check out the website powerforpeople.org.uk for more information about the bill and the campaign. And click on the tab at the top of their website that says Take Action, and that includes an incredibly simple step-by-step guide on emailing your MP about it, including what to write if your MP already supports the bill or if they don't. Honestly, it will take you 15 minutes and we need to act quickly because it currently doesn't have quite enough support in Parliament to make it to law, and it will potentially have a massively positive impact on the UK's ability to reduce the impact of climate change and to redress the skyrocketing costs of energy. So what else is going on sustainability-wise? I'm meant to be taking part in a sustainability event this weekend where I've offered to give some tips on mending school uniforms and some general mending advice. At the moment, I have no idea how well attended it will be or if I'll even be well enough to attend. But fingers crossed it'll all be a positive outcome for that. So I am very grateful for the opportunity to thank 3 lovely new patrons of the podcast this week. Thank you very much, Imogen, Rachel and Farah. Have you been enjoying the Check Your Thread podcast? If so, and you feel you're in a position to do so, please consider supporting the podcast via Patreon to help new episodes continue to appear in your feed. You can do so for any amount that you wish, so please click on the link in the show notes or on the website checkyourthread.com for more info. Okay, back to today's episode. I am super excited to have the opportunity this year to really go deep into the topic of Me Made May. Obviously, this wardrobe challenge is close to my heart, having created it 13 years ago. Over the years since it began, I have received just countless messages and emails from participants saying how taking part has brought them so much joy and taught them so many valuable lessons about themselves, their wardrobes, their needs, their creativity, and so much more. So I'm so excited to be able to share the message and ideas behind it, so hopefully more people can also feel those valuable benefits. So in essence, Me Made May is a personal challenge to help you improve your relationship with your handmade wardrobe, and it also teaches you lots of lessons that will inform your making going forwards. But it's also become a super fun celebration of the makers community. So this episode goes deep into what it is and what it isn't, who it's for, and how to participate. I also set the record straight on some common misconceptions that have sprung up in the age of Instagram. Basically, you do not have to have a full Me Made wardrobe or even the desire for one. It isn't a photo challenge. It isn't an endless parade of handmade items. It's deeper and it's more useful than that. And I know it might just change how you dress and how you make from here on out. The show notes this week are a breakdown of the main points in the episode. So if you get distracted whilst listening to this one, head over there to get the gist. Okay, enjoy. So what is Me Made May? Me Made May is a wardrobe challenge that helps you improve your relationship with your handmade items. It can also teach you lessons about what to make and not to make in the future. So here's a quick history lesson. I inadvertently started the Me Made challenges back in 2010 when I was living in Barcelona in Spain. Initially, it was a personal challenge that I undertook on my own in March of that year. So at that point, I'd been busily making clothes for myself for a couple of years, and when I hung all those items up together, it was beginning to look a bit like a wardrobe. I'd been exploring making different types of garments, like undies and a coat and jersey items, and I was really feeling a desire to extract myself from wearing shop-bought clothes and fast fashion. However, I felt I needed some kind of push to really start relying on my handmade items in the same way that I did on my ready-to-wear items. I was inspired by Canadian artist Natalie Pershwitz and her makeshift project, so I decided to challenge myself to only wear things that I'd made myself, excluding bras, tights, socks and shoes, for a whole month. And I did it! It was pretty chilly for most of the month, but I learnt a lot. I decided to try again in a warmer month when I could put more of my Me Made wardrobe to the test. So I put a shout out via my blog to see if anyone wanted to join me a couple of months later in May, perhaps by just wearing one self-made item if they wished. I thought that maybe a handful of people would be interested, but it ended up being closer to 70 that first year. We did it again the following September. It was called Self-Stitch September, and it took a couple of years for the Me Made challenges to settle down to being an annual challenge taking place every May. But back to the important question, what is Me Made May? So as I said, Me Made May is a wardrobe challenge that helps you improve your relationship with your handmade items. It can also teach you about what to make and not to make in the future. So I describe Me Made May as a wardrobe challenge because to participate, you need to wear your handmade items more often or in some way differently to how you usually get dressed. This is an individual challenge, so you decide on the specifics yourself. The point of doing this is to give yourself the opportunity to learn some useful lessons and or alter how you feel about those items. There is no set single pledge because everyone is different with different lives and different goals, so participants set the specifics of their own pledge so that they will be challenging and useful for them. The challenge happens by setting specifics for yourself that will be difficult but doable. A side note, handmade can mean whatever you want it to. If you wish to include mended, repaired or altered items, or items that have been refashioned or upcycled from something else rather than made from scratch, then please do. If those are items that you wish to improve your relationship with, then make sure you include them. So what does improve your relationship with mean? So when I first challenged myself to only wear me-made items for a month back in 2010, it was because I didn't really trust my handmade items in the way that I trusted shop-bought items. I guess I thought that they were more likely to fall apart or show me up in some way. Having only my handmade items to turn to each day for a month forced me to shift my perception, and I began to value my me-mades and my sewing skills more highly as a result. Undervaluing our handmade items and endeavours is sadly a common occurrence. Me Made May has been pushing back against that for 13 years now, and instead encourages us to embrace our own work. You might find that your relationship with your handmade items is improved by discovering new outfit combinations, or perhaps focusing on the items you already have, rather than always thinking about future sewing projects, will lead you to appreciate the style, the fabric choice, or the fit of those items more highly. And there are so many lessons to be learned by taking part, and all of those lessons will inform your making going forward, so you can use your time and money and the planet's resources more wisely. For example, if you get to the end of the month and you've not felt the urge to reach for a handmade dress, but your wardrobe contains 20 me-made dresses, you'll know that making another will be a waste. Perhaps you could refashion some of them into tops or skirts. Or if you know someone who would love them and actually wear them, maybe you could pass a couple on, and then don't plan any more dress projects for a while. Perhaps you'll learn that certain silhouettes make you adore your body more and help you feel more confident. Or perhaps you'll find that certain colours suit your complexion better. Or that you have heaps of garments made from vibrant prints but very few solid coloured items to pair them with. Or maybe you'll find some new outfits combining those vibrant prints that make you feel fantastic. You really can't predict what you'll learn, but by giving yourself a month to focus more on what you're wearing, you're opening yourself up to gathering heaps of knowledge that you can take forward. That knowledge will help you make better choices for future projects. By applying the lessons, you'll be upping your chances of your future handmade items making you feel fantastic and having long, useful lives. So what isn't Me Made May? So Me Made May has got pretty massive now, which can lead to a bit of confusion about the original intention behind it. And I'm the first to admit that because the specifics are set by the individual, rather than being a set formula that everyone follows, it can be difficult to explain what Me Made May is in a quick, snappy way. Over the years, I've noticed 4 common misconceptions about the challenge, so let's bust those now and instead lay down the facts. Me Made May is not a making challenge. The challenge is about wearing your existing handmade items. It's not about accruing more things. Giving yourself a month to focus on what you've got will help you appreciate what you have, perhaps fall back in love with some items, and subsequently get more from the time, energy, money and resources that you've already put into your craft and your clothes. Okay, between you and me, something that annoys me is when I read posts like, Me Made May is coming up, so I'm going to whip up a load more t-shirts. If you don't feel you have enough items to get through the month, then adjust your pledge to make it doable. You don't need to adjust the amount of clothes that you have. You'll be making it difficult to learn from what you've got if your focus throughout the month is on what you're going to make next. I actually find it helps to slow my making down or even put it on pause during May. Having said all that, here's an exception. If there's something that you've been meaning to make for ages, you might choose to use May as the month to focus on that project if you have the spare brain space. For example, previous guest Rebecca Evans-Merritt has chosen to include a making element for her pledge over the last couple of years, including one year when she used Me Made May as the catalyst she needed to get round to making some washable menstrual pads. The difference is that Rebecca doesn't panic make things just so she's got more garments to wear during the month. She makes items during May that she's thought carefully about previously and has determined that they are things that will help bring her closer to the wardrobe she wants and needs. Okay, here's a biggie. Me Made May is not a photo challenge. So all the photos of people in their handmade outfits that appear on social media during May can definitely make it seem that Me Made May is all about donning a cute handmade outfit and taking and sharing pictures. However, and I cannot stress this enough, those photos are documentation of the challenge, not the challenge itself. And photos are entirely optional. I think that this distinction was clearer in the days of Me Made May pre-Instagram. However, Instagram has become the main venue of the online sewing community. And Instagram is very visual and prioritises images, and you have to kind of hunt for the text. Plus, when you search a hashtag, it can be difficult to find the origin, particularly when there are thousands of posts using that hashtag. So I can fully understand how someone stumbling across a Me Made May hashtag on Instagram might think that it's all just about taking an outfit picture each day and little else. Therefore, if you do decide to document your challenge by taking and sharing photos, please add a caption that explains a bit about your personal challenge. Not only will that explain what you're really up to, it'll make it more interesting for your followers to read about your thoughts, feelings and discoveries during the challenge. Plus, it makes me really sad when I read captions that include sentiments like, "Oh, I'm so rubbish, I haven't taken a photo each day this week, I'm really behind." Once again, taking photos is entirely optional. You're already putting in extra effort to fulfill your pledge each day. And even if you do decide that you would like to take some photos for posterity or to feel connected with the wider community of participants, you don't need to do it every day. I've long since stopped taking daily photos of my challenges. It's just a pressure that I don't need in my life. Perhaps you just take photos of the outfits that make you feel particularly good, or a garment combination that you don't want to forget. Please don't let taking photos of your challenge be a stick to beat yourself with. It's really not the point. Okay, Me Made May is not a competition. So Me Made May is a personal challenge. You're not competing with anyone. You'll have made yourself a pledge to focus on throughout the month, and it really doesn't matter what anyone else is doing or wearing. If you go on social media where other participants are sharing photos, it's an opportunity to cheer each other along and perhaps garner some style inspiration. If you spend time on Instagram during May, it might seem that some participants of Me Made May have an endless amount of beautiful handmade clothes and they never need to repeat an item. Well, you know what? Maybe they do. But that is not the goal. Plus, it also doesn't sound particularly sustainable. The enemy of joy is comparison. So remember to stay focused on your own challenge and what you're trying to achieve. Okay, link to that. Me Made May is not about having heaps of handmade clothes. You can participate if you have just one single self-made item, or if you already wear head-to-toe Me Mades every day anyway. It's all about figuring out what you want to achieve or change and setting a pledge that will help you learn and grow. I honestly can't stress this enough. You can participate in Me Made May even if you have just one handmade item. You just have to set a suitable pledge that allows you to wear that item more often or in different ways. However many handmade items you have, your pledge needs to be challenging but doable, remember? Of course, it might not be the most exciting month if you only have one or two items that you're focusing on, but I'm absolutely certain that you'll learn heaps, including different ways to style them or different outfit combinations that they work with, and about other items that you wished you owned that will inform your future making. The first time I challenged myself, I had a fair selection of handmade items, but I was doing it during a chilly March and I only had 2 warmish tops. So I was alternating between those 2 tops for the whole month, which definitely got boring. But my goodness did I learn what worked with them and what didn't by the end of it. Plus, I had a really clear idea of what was missing from my chilly weather wardrobe. If you only have a couple of handmade items, you don't have to commit to wearing them every day either. You could set your pledge to wear each of your handmade items twice a week perhaps, possibly in a different combination. I've lost count of the amount of posts I've read over the years saying things like, I don't think I have enough Me Mades to take part in Me Made May. Seriously, if you have one handmade item, you have enough items. It really isn't about wearing head-to-toe Me Mades and unique combinations each day throughout May, if that's not where you're at and if that's not what you want. It's about working with what you've got, setting a suitable pledge and learning useful lessons and having fun. So who is Me Made May for? As I just mentioned, it's for anyone with at least one handmade item who wants to make improvements to their wardrobe and how they feel about it. Also, this challenge is for you if you're not sure what garments make you feel powerful, or if you don't know what colours work best for you, or if you're not sure which items you wear most often, or if you want to discover what doesn't get worn and why, or if you don't trust your handmade items as much as your shop-bought items, or if you're not sure which silhouettes work best for your body, or if you rarely attempt new garment combinations, or if you don't feel what you wear always reflects who you are. If any of these things apply to you, then participating in Me Made May will help. Also, if you have to wear a uniform for work, don't be deterred from taking part. You can set your pledge around wearing Me Mades on your days off or when you get home. So how do you take part? To take part, you will need to intentionally wear your handmade items more or in different ways throughout May 2022. Have a think about the handmade items you own, how often you already wear them, and perhaps if there are any areas of your relationship with your wardrobe that you know could use some improvement. Then you set your own pledge outlining the specifics of your challenge before 1st of May. There's a fun pledge formula that you can use. It goes, I, insert your name or username, pledge to wear, insert the specifics of your pledge, throughout May 2022. You can keep your pledge entirely to yourself, or tell your friends and family, or share it on social media, whatever you wish. On the 1st of April, I'll be sharing this year's Me Made May logo on Instagram. My personal account is SoZoBlog, and on my blog, which is Sozo What Do You Know. Feel free to use the logo in any social media posts if you wish. To be clear, in case there's any confusion, you do not need to be active on any form of social media to participate in Me Made May. It is an entirely personal challenge that will be just as useful and illuminating whether you participate in the community aspect of the challenge online or not. So when setting your pledge, remember, this is a challenge. You're not likely to learn very much by staying within your comfort zone or simply doing what you normally do. Equally, it's not going to be fun or helpful if you make it too hard for yourself. So repeat after me. Challenging but doable. Challenging but doable. Okay. If, after giving it some thought, you're not sure what the specifics of your pledge should be, there'll be 2 episodes coming up with examples of other people's pledges to inspire you. And we'll hear from 4 previous podcast guests about their pledges and experiences of the challenge. Hopefully you'll find it interesting and you'll get some other people's perspectives that will help you work out if this is for you or not. I'm really excited to share the next 2 episodes where you'll hear from some other people. But in the meantime, if you have any questions about Me Made May, please get in touch via email at zoe@checkyourthread.com or via Instagram at checkyourthread or at SoZoBlog. Thanks so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and are left feeling inspired. For more info about the podcast, including show notes for this and every episode, head to checkyourthread.com. I'd love to hear from you, so if you have any comments, questions or ideas for future episodes, please get in touch by emailing zoe@checkyourthread.com or find me on Instagram at checkyourthread. Massive thanks to Patrick Potter for production support, to Sylvia Seller for the awesome logo design, and to Simon at Palm Skin Productions for the music. This ad-free podcast would not be possible without listener support, so if you feel you are able, please consider signing up to the Check Your Thread Patreon. For the equivalent of buying me a coffee each month, you'll be making it possible to continue producing regular episodes. Links can be found in the show notes and on the website checkyourthread.com. I hope you'll listen again next week. Until then, take care. Bye!